Probably caught the last half of that. I said, holy crap, because I had a problem pronouncing diminutive. But Drew, thanks, I appreciate it, you know. You bought a bow for me, that 42-inch Osage sinew-backed bow. Probably on ball spine, but I get it. And I was really pleased with it. Yeah, that's a cool little bow. And man, 42 inches, it is so compact. And yet, you know, relatively powerful. And so I couldn't think of like a cooler bow to have if you're just going tromping around, living off the land and doing a survival thing. I mean, that's a wonderful, wonderful bow. Yeah, I did include the B50 everyday string too, along with the sinew string. But yeah, that was cool. Okay, I wound up working on this bow. It's pretty much, you know, I need to lighten it up, but it's tillered, and I wound up, because there's no knots. If there was a knot dead center, which there's a little one, but, you know, a major knot, it's going to go wider around that knot. But this is basically just kind of a straight thing, so I wound up getting, that is the completed, worked down, sanded face. And I wound up adjusting my Scrabble mat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a channel in this, drill a hole, and have a bolt with a wing nut, because when you're doing fine tuning on these things, you don't want this thing to jiggle around. Currently, I'm running a rubber band, but I think I'm going to turn it into a real clamp. But anyway, I wound up getting the limb parallel with this thing, marking it, because it's wide enough to do the face too, and then worked it down. Hey, I admit it, with an orbital disc sander. I use that a lot. I use the orbital disc sander to work down to the lines on the thickness. I use my orbital disc sander. God, that's hard. That's hard. Gosh, nabbit. To flatten it out. And I use it quite a bit in tillering. It's a handy tool. Now, I wound up getting 60 grit. I normally use 80, but, you know, it's a wood removal tool for me. You could work it right down the lines. It's beautiful. This way, getting the face, getting the thinness, I love it. It reduces a lot of time. It does a pretty good job. And yeah, this is going well. I wound up, though, busting my tillering stick. So I've got that foamy Gorilla Glue in there. Okay, I was listening to the radio, and it was yet another political ad of just lies, you know, and I kind of lost it, and I smashed my tillering stick over something. I admit it. I can be impulsive, but a passionate bow maker. So I did this, sinew-backed, this bow, mummy wrapped it, and I compress it, you know, and it does slow to drying down, so it's all good. And I was kind of amazed because I used my sinew out of a plastic bag, a baggie, and a very thin glue mixture, and it just kind of soaks in there, you know, for hours and hours. So it's almost like taking the sinew off the animal, because when it soaks that long, it's very pliable and it does really stick good. But what amazes me is it can be wet, it can be sticky, it can be gluey. You use this kind of gauze. This is the good stuff that's a mesh, not the fleecy junk that you would buy at the store today. I had to search out eBay, search through eBay to get it. And I like it. You can really wrench on it. I'll put the first layer on because I don't want to shift the sinew. My fingers represent the sinew fibers. I don't want to shift them to the side. So I'll put the first layer, I'll just spin it, just like this, you know. I've done it so much, I can take a sinew bow that's not dry, my gauze, and even tighten this all around. If you're evenly doing it, you're not going to shift the fibers. If you did over the top and then you pull it like this, uneven. I didn't wrench it on this side and then I wrench it on this side. That's what I mean by uneven. Even pressure is even all the way around. And I'll spin it like this because I've done it a few times. You know, lightly for the first layer, and then as I'm going back down with the remainder, I'll wrench it because that first layer will stabilize it. But yeah, and then I took it off to look at it and it didn't stick. The stuff is designed not to stick to wounds, and it works the same way with hide glue. So I have that. let's see, what else did I do? Well, pretty much working on this bow and sinew backing and gluing, repairing my thingamajigger there. What else? Oh, okay, Brandon. I totally blanked. I'm sorry. I was going to search out hickory boards to make a horse bow, one of my 48, 49-inch horse bow blanks out of hickory. I forgot. But this is what I meant. I emailed you back a response, for a full contact, California style recurve bow. And this would be a nice contact recurve. This is aggressive enough to be a contact, but you wondered about the video, and I've done videos on doing the tips, but let's see, let's get something here. I'm gonna get this thing right here. Okay. The first portion of the tips, and what I meant in the email, was this is the first, between this hole, my insurance hole as I call it, and the end, I'm boiling a tip. I'll boil that tip for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 2 years. And it seems to be pretty effective boiling tips for recurves. It's a heavier bend, than reflexing the handle for a horse bow. But anyway, I'll boil the tip, sitting in the pot of water that I'm going to use for steaming. I'll even put foil around it, to help steam further up. But it's boiled 20, 25 minutes. And then I pop it out and I stick it quickly in here. And then I've got leather gloves on. I push it down. And then I use my clamps are being used for a tillering stick. This. Let me grab one of my pads. And I like to use, see, this is a thick, it's not plywood, this way. So it goes edge to edge, and then it'll clamp, and that steaming the boiling, first portion, the boiling, will allow me to drive this home. And this is now clamped tightly. This is a 2.5-inch clamp. It's clamped tightly to here with this first bend. Complete. Okay, now this thing is sitting in. Pretend that it's bent to here now and clamped all the way. Now I still need to do this bend in here. Then I lay this on my steam pot, put the foil over it, and I steam. It takes me a long time because I'd rather take longer and get a bend that doesn't crack on the belly. But anyway, so it's steaming for 25 minutes, and because this first bend is in here, I can have this clamp on it and another pad on this side right here. It's clamped while it's steaming. And after 20, 25 minutes, then without taking off the steam thing, I can crank this with my leather gloves a little bit at a time. Every 5 minutes or so, I'll twist my clamp until finally it's done. And then I take the whole thing off and I put it on the ground over cracks in the cement because I got plants there that I want to get rid of. Then I take my pot of water that's super hot and pour it slowly over the bow and then just, wait overnight. So first part, boil to get the insurance hole clamped down. Put the whole thing on there. After you have this clamp started, steam it for 20, 25 minutes, and then slowly every so often listen to the music. Don't break things, if you get a political ad. Slowly drive it home. Stick it on the ground or over a sink, pour the water over it. You're golden. And you should have that nice bend in there without really risking of breaking it because you took your time and you did it in 2 sessions. This first part and then the second part. And that's all you need to know. What else? Had the day off today. It was a nice day. Know what I did? Woke up, had my coffee. My first coffee of the day. Beautiful fall day. It was, I think it's like 70. Nice breeze. Just a picture perfect fall day. Colors, in the trees and stuff. So I hopped on the little 2-stroke. That thing brings me home. Because when I, the sound of a 2-stroke. It reminded me of being a kid And then when the police chase you, because it happened a lot, because these things were not licensed, you know, our dirt bikes, of making a right turn on the railroad tracks and being gone, or going into the woods and being gone, or, you know, whatever, and being gone. And having a short police chase that resulted in just fun because they never caught us. Now I am the crime and punishment kind of guy. If I was king of the world, oh boy, you know, there would be consequences. But in all fairness, a kid not hurting anything, riding his dirt bike here and there on the road to get from trail to trail. If you don't feel like stopping, no harm, no foul, you know? But it's not like that anymore. So I like to hop on that dirt bike and just pretend I'm young again. You know, nothing wrong with that. That's good, healthy fun. If I saw the lights behind me, and now I would stop. First of all, it's not hard to figure out who it is. You know, back then, every kid and his dog had a dirt bike, and they were all running from the cops. But now, you know, it's pretty obvious. But then again, I'm an old gray-haired man, just puddling along. Doesn't attract a lot of attention. I'm not committing serious crimes. With that, I shall draw this to a close. These are so handy. And I certainly didn't invent it, and it's not complex. It's not complex. You can put together one yourself. If you have a drill, you can drill a hole through something, and then even a piece of wood, it doesn't even need to have that notch in there. You know, figure out some way to have a Scribe-O-Matic. I'd certainly sell you one, but you know what? Teach a person how to make a Scribe-O-Matic. They'll have Scribe-O-Matics for their entire forever. Give them one, they'll have one until they listen to a political ad on the radio and they step on it. Yeah. Oh, the first part of the day I had this bagel. It was so good. With peanut butter and bacon. Bacon. You do a lot with bacon. Bacon is good.